Imagine a president who sold off the government's luxury Mercedes fleet and replaced them with the cheapest cars available. A leader who banned his officials from flying first class. A revolutionary who told his people that freedom cannot be imported from the West. This was Thomas Sankara, the man many people still call Africa's Che Guevara. For 4 short years, he tried to completely reinvent the nation, until he was assassinated by his closest friend. This is the story of Thomas Sankara, his rise, his ideology, his revolution, and the betrayal that ended it all. Thomas Sankara was born on December 21st, 1949, in what was then called Upper Volta, a former French colony in West Africa that is now known as Burkina Faso. He came from a modest Catholic family and originally considered becoming a priest. Instead, he joined the military and trained as an army officer. Unlike many soldiers of his time, Sankara was deeply intellectual. He read Marx, Lenin, and Fanon, admired revolutionary movements in Cuba and Ghana, and became convinced that colonialism had ended politically, but not economically. France had officially left, but its influence remained deeply rooted. He believed that true freedom meant economic independence, not just flags and speeches. Thomas Sankara's political philosophy was a mix of Marxism, Pan-Africanism, anti-imperialism, self-reliance, and radical social justice. He rejected the idea that African nations should depend on foreign aid, and famously said, "He who feeds you, controls you." To Sankara, aid was often another form of control, because loans came with conditions, and charity came with political strings. He believed dependency was simply colonialism wearing a new suit. He wanted Africa to stand on its own feet, by producing locally, consuming locally, and thinking independently. He openly criticized Western powers, and argued that many African elites served foreign interests more than their own people. In 1983, at just 33 years old, Thomas Sankara came to power through a military-backed revolution, and became president of Upper Volta. One of his first actions was to rename the country. He believed Upper Volta was a colonial identity that needed to be erased, so he renamed it Burkina Faso, meaning the land of the upright people, or the land of the incorruptible people. This was not just symbolic, it was a statement of dignity, independence, and national pride. He wanted people to see themselves not as former subjects of empire, but as citizens of a new revolutionary nation. His reforms were immediate and dramatic. He launched massive vaccination campaigns that protected millions of children against diseases like measles, yellow fever, and meningitis. He expanded education and literacy programs and invested heavily in public health. He redistributed land from feudal landlords to peasants, which helped increase food production and reduce dependence on imports. He also pushed major infrastructure projects, building roads, railways, and housing, with a focus on national self-sufficiency rather than foreign dependence.
Que nous devons donner à chaque femme un emploi. Nous devons donner à chaque femme le moyen de gagner honnêtement et dignement sa vie.
One of the most radical parts of his presidency was his commitment to women's rights. He encouraged women to work, join the government, and participate fully in political life. He believed that no revolution could succeed without women's liberation, and famously said, "The revolution and women's liberation go together." In the 1980s, in one of the poorest countries in the world, this was an extraordinary and controversial position. He was challenging not only political systems, but also deeply rooted social traditions. But revolutions create enemies. Sankara's reforms threatened too many powerful groups. Traditional elites hated land redistribution. Wealthy officials hated the end of government luxury. Foreign powers, especially France, were suspicious of his anti-imperialist message and his rejection of Western economic influence. The greatest threat, however, came from inside his own circle. His closest ally was Blaise Compaoré, a fellow revolutionary and longtime friend. The two had risen together, but political tensions and personal ambition began to divide them. On October 15, 1987, Thomas Sankara was assassinated during a coup led by Compaoré. He was only 37 years old. He and 12 others were killed. His body was quickly buried, and for years, the full truth was buried with it. Compaoré took power and ruled Burkina Faso for 27 years. Sankara's death marked the end of one of Africa's most ambitious political experiments. Many of his policies were reversed, and the country moved back towards foreign influence he had fought against. Yet, his ideas never disappeared. Across Africa and beyond, Thomas Sankara became a symbol of honest leadership, anti-corruption, and resistance to neocolonialism. Unlike many leaders, he left office with almost no personal wealth. He owned little, lived simply, and practice the sacrifice he demanded from others.